I start cooking when my husband leaves work, giving myself 30 minutes on the clock, usually. But tonight we're coming at you with a little late night edition where I'm prepping for the week, and I had so many requests for this. I'm making some homemade cream of mushroom soup, and I still want to get to bed by like 9 o'clock, so we're gonna make this really quick. Well, what time is it? 8:42, we can do it. Let's see if I can beat the clock. This recipe is really easy. It's not as easy as pouring cream of mushroom soup out of a can. It's definitely more flavorful, and I like it because I know exactly all the ingredients. Starting out with 4 tablespoons of butter in my pan. The longest part of this recipe is honestly chopping all the vegetables. Most of that is because I like my mushrooms as fine as I can possibly cut them. Our kitchen is usually closed as soon as the dishes are done, so you guys are really getting a special edition tonight. We don't eat a lot of cream of mushroom soup. I don't make that many recipes that use it. I'd rather just make a fresh sauce, but this is something that is a staple to have in our freezer, and I used my last bag last week. I will have my heat on medium for roughly the entire recipe. Once the butter is melted, we'll start with mushrooms. I have about 2 cups of baby bella mushrooms. The more mild mushroom that you use, the more mild flavor you're going to get in your soup. So if you like a more mushroom forward flavor, feel free to use whatever you prefer. This would be really good with shiitake. Once the mushrooms and butter are combined, and this has been heating for about 30 seconds, I'm also going to add in 1/2 of a yellow onion. You could use a white onion, whatever you prefer. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. This doesn't have to be exactly followed. You can adjust for what you have in your pantry. And then we wait 8 to 10 minutes roughly, stirring this occasionally. You have to release a lot of moisture from these items. What I prefer to do is make this soup on a night where we're having a tater tot casserole or a dish that calls for cream of mushroom soup, and then that way I've got a bunch of extra, and I'll freeze about 2-cup bags, same amount as what you would get out of a condensed soup can. I will admit this isn't really a condensed version. I make it a little bit saucier so I don't have to worry about the liquid later on. Maybe I don't have heavy cream on hand, or I don't want to use milk in it because I want that rich flavor that you get from heavy cream. If you want a condensed version, just cut the liquid down significantly, at least by 1/2 of what I'm going to put into my soup. It already smells so good in here. I should note I use salted butter. A lot of recipes call for unsalted butter. I just don't buy unsalted butter. I'm sure that it would be much better if I started with unsalted butter and then controlled the salt content throughout. That's just not reality for me. This has been cooking for 3 to 4 minutes, and you can see there's been a lot of liquid that has come out of the mushrooms and the onions, and there's quite a bit actually just like hanging out over here. We gotta keep going at this point in time. You're maybe halfway there. It might smell like you're done, but I promise you want to keep going. It's worth it. You can see we've reduced that liquid even more at this point, so I'm going to give this a few more minutes. We're probably 2 or so minutes away from being ready for our next step. My pan has officially gone from this sound where you can tell it's a lot of liquid to that sizzle. There's just like a couple more pops, and that's when I know actually there was an actual pop there. That's when I know we're ready to go. There's still some liquid around here, but that's your fat from your butter. The next thing I'm going to add in is 4 cloves of garlic that I have minced as fine as I possibly can. We're going to stir this around for about 30 seconds. Not going to mess around. We don't want burnt or bitter garlic. Immediately, the smell is just divine. Absolutely divine. I'm going to switch tools for the next step. And in with the whisk. I used 4 tablespoons of butter, so I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of flour, which is the equivalent of 1/4 of a cup if you want to go about this a little bit more efficiently. The flour mixed in, and this is going to get super gummy and dry up immediately as soon as you get that flour mixed in. Hopefully it will still be nice and visible for you in the video. I still have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a cooking show host. Actually, tonight is like really a step-by-step, and we'll see if this actually turns out or if anybody tries it and they have success. Once you add your flour, this needs to cook down for 2 minutes at least. This is usually when I will turn the heat down a little bit because this pan is piping hot from the last 10 minutes of sauteing. And don't worry about any bits that do start to stick to the bottom. We're gonna get those pulled up in the next step. When we were sick last month, I bought this Kettle Fire mushroom chicken bone broth, and I don't plan on eating it. Figured nothing better than using it in this soup. That smells so good. Got my nose a little close there. It smells really good. Normally I just use low sodium chicken broth, or I'll use chicken bouillon, or if you're really fancy like I try to be, I'll use homemade chicken broth or chicken stock. I'm doing chicken next weekend, so then I'll have a restock of homemade chicken chicken stock as well. This is a 16.9 ounce container. I added in about half of that and we're gonna stir this in. It's gonna start to get nice and soupy. Part of the reason why I do a little bit at a time is I wanna make sure that we don't have a gloopy soup. We'll add the rest in. There's 2 of our 4 cups of liquid. I've never made it with this bone broth before, so taste test TBD on if I actually recommend it. It smells really good. It smells like I'm gonna probably recommend it. I need another half cup of chicken stock, 20 ounces of chicken stock total. I only have 8 ounces of heavy cream, so that only has me at 28 ounces instead of 32. We'll see where we're at. I might add some more chicken stock or I might add some milk. Measure with our heart most of the time. I don't really like that term, but I feel like everybody says it. I think I need to make sure that I don't overdo the Worcestershire sauce. I've got a half a tablespoon. I'm gonna do about another quarter. That to me is actually one of the key ingredients. Did a little taste test and it definitely needs salt. You can season to your liking. At this point in time, I just want this to come to a very light simmer so it thickens up really nicely. Actually needs a little bit more. Really starting to boil, so I'm actually just gonna shut my heat off. I really like the consistency that this is starting to come to. If I were just gonna eat this, I'd totally add some time into it right now. You can see it's just starting to coat the back of the spoon. That's like perfect. Oh my goodness. I could eat this. I could eat a bowl of it. And that kettle on fire mushroom chicken bone broth, pretty good in here. I'm probably gonna use that again. Like I said, I'll freeze this. I'm gonna let this cool down and I'm actually just gonna store it in the refrigerator for the next day or 2. Once I'm tired of looking at it in the refrigerator, then I will go ahead and parse it out into Ziploc bags and put it into the freezer. Lay them flat so they freeze nice and easy. I'm not worrying about the freezing part right now. It should stay good in the freezer for a couple of months. I would totally rely on any actual food safety person to tell you how long it will stay good in the freezer. Anyways, thanks for sticking around. Have a great night.